speakers which joined us from Singapore and Australia on urban farming systems and advances in the agrochemical industry. As ATAL program aims to help students and professionals to sharpen their techno skills and become more professional at what they do, and also inspire them so that they can get charged up and all motivated for the session ahead in order to accomplish the business objectives of the company. So moving on this note on our next theme, innovations in warehousing by our first speaker on it, Mrs. Kalyani Shinde, who is the Managing Director, Director Godam Innovations Private Limited. Godam Innovations is working in the agri-tech space to stabilize the warehouse monitoring and crop storage ecosystem to increase the shelf life of the crop, which will enhance the livelihoods of the farming community. It is working on upgrading and empowering the agri ecosystem with technology and structuring the crop flow in the crop value chain. So we once again welcome Kalyani ma'am on this platform and request ma'am to address our participants.
Hello, thank you so much, Bhupesh, for that introduction. And first of all, I would like to thank Agmatrix for inviting me to take a session for all the participants who will be joining today. I'll start with my introduction. I'm Kalyani Shinde, founder of Godam Innovations. Godam is an agri-tech startup. We are currently specifically working in the onion crop ecosystem, and we're working in the warehousing space itself. It's been around 4 years in this space now. I'm a computer engineer by background, but I come from a town which is known for Asia's largest onion marketplace. I've been born and brought up over there, and that is a sort of the story of how I landed up in this space, other than doing anything else. So I think we will cover about our journey, what us as a startup does, and what is happening today outside in this space, and what are the opportunity areas we can look at. But I think before starting, I would like to say a few words about what Admatrix is doing. And, this is certainly a gap which, as a startup founder, I had seen in the industry. And the moment I knew about them from Preeti ma'am, and then that's how I got connected to Admatrix. And I think it's been helpful in by all means, because there was a need of an institute or an organization who understands agriculture in and out from its roots, because the processes which works for other industries or companies might not work in agriculture because things are a bit different here. And I think the understanding of this ecosystem is very necessary to drive certain things, and Agmatrix is doing it very well. So I think whoever are a part of Agmatrix community, or even if the participants who are listening to this session, I'm sure that you will be benefited by it, by what I'm saying or what other speakers are here to say. And I'm sure your previous sessions might have also helped you a lot. So yeah, that is it. I think we can start with what we do first, and then we can talk about, this space overall. I would like to take your questions, but I think I'll continue my presentation for some time. And at the end of it, I'm sure we will have a lot of time. We already have 45 minutes. I'm not going to talk for that long, but I like to interact with the audience a lot, because as a speaker, we have a lot of things to talk about, but in the given time period, we only can talk about certain headers. But as an audience, you want to know about certain specific things. I am sure that we have this chat box open, or you can even unmute yourself and ask those questions. So that I will try to address at the end, and we will have enough time for that. Does that sound okay, Bhupesh? I think I can share my screen and yeah. Okay, just
Yes,
give me a minute. I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah. So so already, as I said, that about the space we are in, but I'll talk about this industry a bit, and how we ended up into this space. So as I mentioned, that I come from a town which is known for Asia's largest onion marketplace. I've been born and brought up over there. So onion as a crop we all know about it and we consume it on a daily basis as a consumer. But India is the second largest onion producing country, and the ecosystem is quite complex and large with respect to this crop. But the topic we are addressing today is warehousing and the innovation happening in this space. So I will talk about one such innovation which we have done in this space, but in general also a bit about warehousing. Warehousing specifically comes in play when you have to, sort of when there is certain supply of a crop or a produce, and that will fulfill the needs of a demand from the consumer side. But a lot of times, and I'm sure most of you might be knowing, every crop has a certain season to it or a certain time of harvest or crop cycle. So, and that does not mean that the demand will be only in that period of time. So one such example is mangoes. We do love mangoes, and we've started the season of mangoes, but we cannot ensure that we have fresh mangoes all through the year. But then we found a way of creating mango pulp and then storing it at a certain temperature where we can take the essence of farmers for year long, and we can have that. So I think on the similar lines is where warehousing or innovation plays a role, is when you there is a crop which is produced and then that has to be consumed in different parts of the country or world. You have to supply that, but then you have to make sure that it is available whenever it is needed. That is when warehousing or stocking of the crop comes in role. And similar the use cases with onions. India being the second largest onion producing country, the onion, irrespective of the fact it comes in a particular season, and but at our homes we every day consume onion. So where does that onion come from? It comes from the storages, it comes from warehousing. And why warehousing is so important, I think that is something we already got to learn. But other than that, how important is warehousing is because the health, the quality, the time the crop is going to spend in the warehousing is really important. And how can we make sure that it is at its best, so when we consume or when it reaches to the consumer, it reaches in the conditions we want to have, as fresh as possible, as lively or as good quality as it can be possible. So that is how this space of warehousing is very important. And for a country like India, which is a developing nation, warehousing is something which can keep the reins of this agriculture ecosystem in our hands, because as much as we can stock our produce, as much as we can make sure that we bring innovation in this space and we can cater to our own needs and even export the crop, we are going to help in increasing the economy of the country, because that is going to benefit our farmers, and that is how directly it is going to contribute in the economy of the country. And now let's move towards what we do first. So as I mentioned that we working in the space, this is me and my team. We have a team of more than 6 to 7 people. We have mentors from industry, from business, from domain, especially from the crop specific ecosystem or agriculture domain expertise. Talking about the space we are working in, now we've already established the fact that India is the second largest onion producing country. Our country produces around 3 crore metric tons annually. Around 70 to 80% of this production is stored in the warehouses for a period of 6 to 8 months. The reason which I listed before. The challenge which the country is facing today is there is around 40 to 50% wastage, which happens throughout the storage season. It is directly impacting the farmers who are storing their crop, because they have invested their money, time, effort in growing that crop. For example, they are growing 50 metric ton, and at the end, they are only left with all close to 20-25 metric ton, which can be actually sold in the market. And that's the reason we are in the space of warehousing. Currently, as a company, we are based out of Nashik. Nashik contributes to around 15% of total India's production. Around 80% of the farmers here contribute to onion production, and they cultivate onion as a crop. Maharashtra is the leading onion producing state in the country, followed by Madhya Pradesh, Karnataka. But this number of 3 crore metric ton is growing annually by 25%, and every other state has started producing onions currently. So when we looked at this ecosystem, we looked at it from all aspects. When you study a crop, right from sowing, seed, variety, the practices the farmers are following, how it is grown, once harvested, where is it stored, what kind of structures are there, what are the challenges in the structure specifically where this much wastage is happening. And then third is where market linkages, where the crop is being sold and who all are involved in this entire ecosystem. So as a team, we did research of this entire ecosystem, and we figured out that, warehousing is where onion as a crop spends most of the time in the entire cycle, and maximum wastage is happening in the warehouses. So we picked that category, and we as a team specifically started researching about warehousing, that in onion storages, what kind of structures are there on field and what are the challenges. The challenges which we listed while after doing an extensive field research was that there is a lack of microclimate monitoring resulting in late identification of rotting. Now, what is happening is whenever you store any crop, not only onion, but any crop, microclimate is a very important factor, that is temperature and humidity. When these conditions are maintained in a specific range, which are feasible for that particular crop, then the crop can be stored for a longer duration and there will be less losses. Similarly, it is for onions, but we observe that the structures currently which the farmers have are traditional and unscientific, and they are open structures. So there is no means of controlling temperature or humidity and even knowing what is the current condition of climate in their warehouse, and that is impacting their crop a lot. And onion storage generally goes from 3 seasons, and this I'm sure goes is happening with many other crops also, because what happens is, for example, any particular vegetable or any particular crop has to be stored at a very specific temperature, but outside there is 30 degrees, 35 degrees, and then if you store your crop in those conditions, you will end up losing a lot of your crop. There will be weight loss, the color will go, the freshness will go, so many things like that will happen. And similarly, in the case of onions also, it is happening. Then we also observe that there are many knowledge resources in the industry, such as research organizations, government initiatives. But what happens on the field or what the farmers are doing, there is a huge gap between them. So there is no solution provider or knowledge provider in between. And that is the gap we identified, and we wanted to work in this space. Overall, with these challenges in the warehousing space, what was happening is they were resulting in poor hold time. Now, generally, what happens in onion storage is around March, April every year, Rabi is the onion type which can be stored. So that is produced or harvested in the month of March and April. But when does the price of onion goes beyond average rate is after the monsoon season, when there is a sort of a glut in the market for the supply, but the demand is higher. So that is how the price fluctuation works. So for a farmer, their incentive is to store for as long as possible so that they can sell their produce at a good average rate when the market needs it, and they can also get benefit from it. But because of these conditions or the structures they have today, they have to sell at early time, and then they have to sell at a lower price rate because they have already lost a lot of their crop, and the way the crop looks, the quality, and all of that. So, as a team, after doing or identifying these challenges, the solution we have launched lies in 3 to 4 major buckets, starting with the infrastructure itself. So, here there is an example which, initially we observed that as temperature and humidity is very important, we need to look at technologies where we can construct a whole new warehouse where the climate can be maintained, monitored at a certain range as per the crop. There are also cold storages in the in this context of warehousing, but cold storages are not feasible from Indian climate point of view, because in especially in case of onions, in some other crops it does work, but in onions it does not work is because there has to be some pre-processing and post-processing of the crop done before it has gone into the cold storage. Otherwise, if you directly put it in and take it out, there will be sprouting, there will be certain losses which the crop will face. But also cold storage is only feasible when there is an end-to-end cold chain, right from farm to the fork or plate, till the consumer. In outside countries, the outside climate is feasible. There are already cold chain established. But in India right now, we are a bit behind in this space. We need to develop that chain, but also the climate has to, that those areas is something we also have to work on. So we looked at whether their climate control or climate monitored, maintained warehouses can be an option in this space. But we also realized one more thing is, 80% of our farmers who are storing onions or who are cultivating onions already have warehouses or structures, which are traditional structures, but they already have those structures. So in that case, we wanted to, cater a solution which can benefit them, which need not be very economically very high cost solution, but is reliable, but it is modular. It can go to marginal farmers also and benefit them also. So that is how we came up with Smart Infra, where the existing 80% structures which the farmers have, we suggest minimum infrastructural changes in the warehouse, which can benefit or facilitate better storage practices in the warehouse, such as making partitions, making compartments in the storage. There were no compartments before. Right now, we have started to make sure that there are compartments in the warehouse. So there is an ease of access to the crop. There were no gates to the compartments the farmers were storing in, but now we are making sure that there are gates so that whenever you want to take action, you don't have to take on the entire warehouse, but on the specific compartment which has started going bad or any action need to be taken, and there is a specific gate to that compartment. Our solution is actually an IoT-based hardware device. It is called Godam Sense. This device does two things. One is it monitors real-time climate, that is temperature and humidity, and second, it does early identification of wastage. So while we were doing our research, we realized that onion wastage is very contagious. It spreads very quickly. So how do we, help farmers, and what do farmers do to identify wastage? And when we interacted with them, we realized that the answers were very surprising because they were using conventional methods such as smell coming from the rotten onion or the level of the crop suddenly degrading. So they used to know that there is wastage in this particular warehouse, but that also they didn't know where exactly. And till the time you get smell or till the time you can visually see the level going down, you've already lost a lot of your crop, and you've already, it is too late for you to take action. So that time we realized this space and we got to research, and we have currently created a device which monitors real-time climate, that is temperature and humidity. And second, it senses the gases emitted by onions in different parts of the warehouse. And with the help of gases, we are able to identify wastage at a very early stage. So we alert the farmers that where exactly in your warehouse, which compartment wastage has started, so that they can take action on the crop. And that alert goes to their mobile phone through our application in local language, and they can take actions such as grading, or they can do disposal management through their crop. Now, currently, one is that what we are working with, but we've also been working in controlled climate warehousing space. We've partnered with Tata Steel, where the temperature and humidity need not be a cold storage, but it can be in a way where the climate can be maintained in optimum ranges as much as an onion crop requires. And other than that, we have also been looking at other solutions which have come in this space. There are various other solutions such as, a drying chamber where the crop can be kept dry for a certain duration. There are certain other solutions where there is, artificial ventilation. There is forced ventilation, because ventilation is a very key role for the crop to sustain for a longer duration. So they are putting a circular based system where the airflow can be maintained. There will be ventilation in the onion crop so that it doesn't go bad. So these certain components of warehousing, and specifically in the onion crop, are coming up, and I think technologies are booming in this space. I'll show you a short video clip about our work. you know. So I think a lot of you might have questions of where the device is going to place, what exactly it does. So this video might have given you a glimpse of where in the warehouse the device is placed and how the data is transmitted to us and how are we communicating with the farmers today. Along with that, along with the devices, sending them alerts, identifying wastage, we also observed a space where, we have been talking about digital intervention, we've been talking about data collection, but we observed that there is a huge gap in the ecosystem of onion crops, specifically where there are initiatives or knowledge resources sitting up there. But what is happening with the crop at a large level? For example, there are FPOs, there are initiatives such as NAFED, but they have a lot of crop which they purchase and they store in multiple locations in the country, but there is no traceability of the crop, that where exactly it is purchased, what is the current health of it, in which warehouse, how much crop is there. So as a team, we have developed a platform which is a warehouse management platform, where whenever you are registered on the platform, you can you can share information about the crop which is in your warehouse. You can real time see the health of your crop or stock in the warehouse. You can decide on a priority basis that which crop you have to take first out, second out. Disposal management can be done based on the data which is coming from the devices. And this is then sort of an end-to-end solution. And we want to link crop cycle advisory and market linkages on this platform. So this becomes an end-to-end solution for the farmers, for FPOs also. So this is what, as a team, we have been working on till now. Sort of these are certain features which we are providing, where there is real-time warehouse tracking, real-time stock management, data validation can be done through images, certain other things. So I'll just share about a small clip also about our farmer talking about our innovation, where also I would like to say that when innovation you're creating in any space, it doesn't matter what technology or how high cost it is, but until and unless it is helping your user or benefiting them, there is no point of developing a product and creating a business out of it. So I also urge a lot of you who are willing to or want to start something of their own this space. It's really important to understand your user and their requirement first. Upesh, can you just tell me, was the audio of, can you hear the audio of the previous video?
No, ma'am. I think we have a lag in that. Can you try, including the computer audio?
Just a minute. I'll just check, because I think that
When you click on share, I think it might give you option to include computer audio.
Okay, just a minute. Is the screen visible?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible to us.
Yeah, I think there is some problem with the audio sharing, but sort of I will, I'll talk about what this farmer has to say here in the video. He's trying to say that he has, he took our device, he placed in his warehouse, and he was telling that once there was an alert which we sent to him at a very early stage that in this number of your compartments, rotting has started. He removed that stock. He saw that there was a very minimum percent of rotting he found. He regraded that crop and he restocked his onion. So the shelf life of his crop also increased, and there was no symptoms. Physically, he would have been able to sense that there is wastage in the crop or in the warehouse, but due to the device, he had been able to identify it earlier, and he has an urge to the other farmers to adapt such technologies in warehousing, which can help you in increasing the shelf life of the crop. Currently, we are approaching the market with direct crop producers, FPOs, buyers, or government schemes also. So I think this is what we've done on field so far. We have monitored around 1,500 plus tons of onion in different locations in Maharashtra, MP, and UP. We're still increasing our horizon to other crops also. I'll just talk about a bit of what our achievements have been so far. I think a lot of you might also be aware that the government of Department of Consumer Affairs launched a challenge called Grand Onion Challenge. We are also, the sort of a winners of the first stage, where we will be one of the teams in the vertical of warehousing, provide our solution to through the scheme to various other farmers. We have published our research in multiple national symposium and received quite a few awards for the startup for the work we are doing in this space. I think it's already 6:30. I was about to be talking for around half an hour. I would be very open to your questions now. Let's take your questions, and I'll try to address any other topic which I was not able to in my talk through answering your questions. That is it from my side. Thank you so much.
Hi, ma'am.
Yes,
Good evening.
good evening.
So, in your technology, that is only monitoring the, fungus. Fungus
Mhm,
affection and all.
mhm.
So is there? This is not the texturization or architecturing of warehouse, right? So only you are sensing the, what are the effect or what are the modification inside the produce?
Yeah, sort of. So when there is a fungal development, there is rotting. There is a reaction which happens in terms of gas emission. That is what we are currently sensing. But in terms
So
of
that is
warehousing,
sensing of fumigation.
yeah.
Yeah, yes. So you are started with onion, but it's not common for all the produce. If you are going to different produce means the affecting or post harvest losses will be different. Maybe it is due to physiological process, or maybe it is due to biotic stress inside, or sometimes due to temperature. So sometimes it's due to dehydration. So how you are having some other plans for some other produce also?
Yeah, in the future, sure. We are currently working on our research, but we are well aware of the fact that onion and every crop has its different process and methods
Mhm.
of, life cycle. But we would like to incorporate those as features or additional things and our core product which we have developed. But for sure, we look forward to working in other crops also, and we are well aware of the fact that there will be certain different processes we might have to be looking at.
Yeah. Thanks, ma'am. All the best.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was the cost involved in this process? How do we charge this for farmers?
Yeah. So currently we are selling this device, that is the product, and then there is a service cost to it. It depends on the capacity of the warehouse and the size of the warehouse, this device, how many such units you will need. But currently our charging is somewhere between 1100 to 1200 per metric ton. And that is the one-time cost of the device. There is a 3-year life. We provide warranty for the devices. And there is somewhere around 30% annual AMC or a service cost from second year onwards for the alerts or monitoring which we do for the entire storage season.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
I request the participants to please switch on their camera and introduce their name first while asking the question. Right. Anyone else who wants to ask, they can please go ahead.
I think there are certain questions in the question and answer, so I'll take those. Meanwhile, if there is anybody you want to unmute and ask.
Sure.
So I think somebody named Revant Reddy has asked how Godam sense will find bad smell if onion spreading bad smell at the end of the compartment. So every compartment has one device, and we have certainly defined the distance of till where the sensor can actually sense the rotting, and till where can we actually keep that range. So that is how we sense wastage. Next is due to poor service losses. How can we reduce that losses to minimum? In recent times, we've seen. Oh yeah, I was very sure that this question will come today. That there is a news of a farmer who has got to profit of 2 rupees. I think I have a slightly different view on this space, but it's not a topic which we can address now in the interest of time. But to give you a light or glimpse of on that topic, it is, there are very various parameters which the crop rate is decided on, and also quality is one of it. So nobody over there had talked about what kind of quality the farmer possessed, what kind of quality did he take to the mandi, and of course, it was farmer's decision to take it 70 kilometers from his location to all of that. So I think there are so many parameters as such to see whether that crop pricing was justifiable or not. Yes, of course, there are challenges in this ecosystem. There is a difficult time the government is also facing to give a certain fixed pricing to this crop. But as solutions like us and certain initiatives government is taking to make sure that we can bring certain stability in the ecosystem where the farmers can get at least an average benefit out of it. But as far as farmers goes, there have been years when the crop was 100 or more than 100 rupees a kg also. So we've seen ups and downs in this ecosystem. But let's look at an overall average other than talking about specific news which comes out of nowhere of one specific use case in some part of the some part of the country. So yeah, that's what I will say. Godam company will sell Godam device. Yes, we sell the device. I already mentioned the pricing. How much will be the cost of the surveillance unit? Yes, it is affordable to small farmers because as far as our return on investment goes, the device return on investment for the farmers is in the same year, the first year of storage itself. So it is affordable. Of course, there are certain other models we are looking where the farmer can either rent it out or certain installments based payment, but we're still exploring that. And we're also trying to reduce the cost of the device further. As a team, we are working on research and development. Right now the crops is only onion. So yeah, how easy or difficult it is.
How
It is a
about,
very plug-in.
yeah, this is Tripti
Yes.
here. Yeah,
Yes.
see, I saw in your presentation, like, it is requiring a Wi-Fi connection, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what about the areas where we don't have any network, or how do you reach out on this parameter?
Yeah. So right now, we've not till now we've not come across a region where there is no network at all. There is network in most of the regions. We look at the network specification of that region and accordingly design. Our system is made to work in the lowest network conditions as possible. Very low bandwidth also it works. And this Wi-Fi and all of that is included in our device cost for the warehouses. So as a team, we provide it to them.
Okay, and adding to it, what are the grading parameters you are giving as a solution? Because I saw in your slide some grading solutions also you're providing. So what are those?
So grading solutions we are not providing. We actually alert them so that they can grade the crop. And once the grading is done, it can actually help them in increasing the shelf life of the crop. But for grading solutions, we have a lot of partner colleagues who have been working in this space. And I think you will be hearing his presentation after mine. Kshitish will be here and he'll talk about solutions. So if there is an integrated requirement as such, then we jointly provide a solution to such customers.
All right. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Manjit has asked a question of how easy or difficult it is to set up the system. It is a plug and play model. Right now we don't have any presence in Northeast India, but we're very much looking forward to, be a part there. What are the costs involved per metric ton for various types of products? Currently, it is only for onions, and it is around 1,100 to 1,200 per metric ton one-time cost. Ma'am, could you elaborate on the technology used in gas sensing? See, actually, it's a sensor-based technology. We sense real-time gases emitted from them. There, we collect real-time data on our server. We analyze. We have an algorithm, which is actually a patented, algorithm, and we, sort of analyze the data and we send alerts to them. That's the bit of it. It's not a very deep science technology, but the gameplay is more on data. Is there any extra features of the Godam Sense like temperature monitoring? Yes, I already mentioned about that. We are monitoring temperature and humidity and also the gases emitted from the crop. Will the sensor alert even if the producer is affected by dehydration, sprouting, or other physical stress? Right now, it's only for bacterial infection, but sprouting for some extent we do because sprouting is very much related to the humidity increase in the compartments in the warehouse, and that is one of the parameter which we sense. So we're doing that. But other than this, also we're trying to add on features on image processing or certain that formats where we can comment on physiological weight loss and sprouting as well. Malegaon district, Nashik. I think yes, we did an installment in Umrane. We've done an installment in Kalwan, Devla, Satana. If you want to buy Godam device, I think I will share the contact on the chat. There is an office number. You can share your requirements on WhatsApp, or you can even call that number.
So sir,
This is an
how many
integrated,
devices you have installed?
more than 250 plus units on field right now.
Okay, that is, you mean to say 1 unit is for 1 ton,
10 tons.
10 tons. Okay, all right.
Yeah. And yes, this is an integrated solution. It can be integrated in any existing warehouse. It can be an open climate warehouse or a controlled climate warehouse. It is an integrated based solution. Right now, it does not work for any other crop because we have not tested it. It is working for onion. Yeah. And Jojo, who is monitoring the readings from the unit remotely by the company or by the? No, the data comes to us. We monitor it. There is no extra monthly services charges. There's a one-time cost for the device where 1 year storage charges or monitoring services charges are included in that. But from second year onwards, there will be a service fee which they will have to pay for the entire season. That is 30% of the overall cost. Yeah. So, Venkata Sai, your question is very right. Most of the farmers are marginal and small. They are not aware of the technology, but I think initiatives like Agmatrix and people out there are trying to make sure that startups like us reach to maximum people out there. Even government is putting in a lot of effort. As I mentioned about this Grand Onion Challenge, it is a very huge effort by the government where they are trying to put in such huge problems which the country is facing, and they are expecting solutions from college students, from startups. And once we reach to that stage, they will be pushing these solutions to the farmers. So I think awareness is a problem in agri-tech or agriculture we all are facing, but we have to take steps to make sure that we reach to a level where they know. But I think we are taking one step at a time. A lot of people in major iron producing regions in Maharashtra right now are aware about us, but we are planning to reach to that stage in other states also. So yeah,
Right.
I think, yeah,
Ma'am, we have a question or two in the chat box as well. So
yeah,
this is
just
going, Karthik. The question is, with modifications to the existing device, can it be used in horticulture crops as there are huge post-harvest losses in fruit crops?
yes, absolutely. We have been looking at other crops also. Apple is something which we have got a lot of inquiries for. But I cannot comment on whether we already have a product because we are, currently doing one thing at a time because onion is also a very complex ecosystem. Once we set our foot in this ecosystem well and it's on autopilot, we will be looking at other horticulture crops. But yes, there is a possibility.
Right. Ma'am,
Yeah.
there's another question. The question is from Shagun. It goes, what sort of disease or problems can be detected through the sensors?
So there is no diseases which we are detecting. Diseases actually come and play before harvesting. But in storage, we are detecting the rotting in onions and sprouting to some extent. But we are also increasing our, identification to weight loss with some added features. So yeah.
Right. Anyone who has raised their hand, they can ask the question. Anita, Vani, Snigdha Rani. If not, they can also drop their questions in the chat box.
Yeah, I'm also, sharing an email ID and contact number here for those who want to connect with Godam. I hope everybody receives it. Or else I think the Agmetrics team can also help you with that after this. Yes, there it is. Yeah, I think we are very much on time at 6:45, but I tried to answer as many questions and there were a lot, I think, but very happy to be here. If anybody wants to know more, I think I've already shared the contact details. You can get in touch with us there.
Right. Ma'am, I think I would like to put a small question to this. If you can.
Yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
absolutely. No issues.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, as you said, like you are directly from Nasik, and being Maharashtra being one of the biggest producer of onion in our country, and our country being the second largest producer of onion. So, taking forward your company, as in, do you imagine of solving the problem of onions and the problem associated on a global level? Like, what is your vision of the company as in all?
Yeah. So I think, at the end, as a company, we envision to empower the farmer of the country. As of now, currently, all of the startups are trying to make this possible. But as a third person who's listening to this, might be, your solution cost is so high. It's not, the farmer cannot buy this. All of that questions would be there. But I think this is the first step we have taken towards this space, and once this are incorporated in the system, and once we have that mindset shift of looking at agriculture not just a family thing but also like a business where you can earn money, you can produce all those things, I think these technologies can benefit in that space. So that is our end vision, where we want to benefit farmers to that level. But I think, of course, in the onion crop ecosystem, we intend to bring stability from as many features or solutions we can launch in this piece. But also we want to work in the warehousing category as such, I think, which was the title of the session, which was very relevant because, as mentioned earlier, this is a category which is going to be here for long term. And as much as we focus on this category, that's how we in this space can grow, and linking it back to the economy. So yeah, that's pretty much.
Right, ma'am. Right, ma'am. So
Yes.
with that, I would thank you for answering all the questions with very high energy, and also for your valuable guidance and for covering an important topic on innovations in warehousing. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining today and sharing your insights.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. Hi, Kshitij.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Right, ma'am. So,
Okay.
as you are aware, ATAL training objective is to facilitate and accelerate the sustainable transformation of Indian agriculture by knowledge sharing for adopting technology interventions. Yesterday, Mr. Vikas Dangat sir told us post-harvest problem statements, which is the biggest challenge that the entire supply chain faces. Our next session is on the same challenge, which addresses automation in warehouses. We would like to add the extended session with our second speaker on this theme of warehousing innovations. I welcome Mr. Kshitij Thakur, co-founder Agri. I would like to specially mention here that Mr. Kshitij is again a great example of a young entrepreneur who's just 26 years old, who is the founder of AgroGrade. AgroGrade is a startup that has developed solutions for the quality assessment of vegetable and fruits. AgroGrade is a combination of software and hardware to grade and sort vegetables by quality and size. There are computer versions, deep learning, and machines to achieve this. So without taking much time, I request sir to take over.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me on this webinar. Glad to be a part of this. Glad to see a lot of interested folks curious to understand technology and where the future of agriculture is headed to. Thank you for Agbacktrix to arranging this. Without further ado, I'll just tell you a bit about what AgroGrade does. Maybe that will help you visualize this, right? I hope you're able to use my screen.
Yes, sir.
So we started, I come from an agricultural background. What we saw is there's a lot of innovation that is being applied at increasing yield of farmers, yield of agriculture. but there's very minimum that is being happening, that is being undertaken to help them realize the produce value or help them save the value that they are producing, right? Of say 15 tons per acre that is harvested in case of onions, how much is actually being realized? There are a lot of post-harvest losses, which is the first step where the value is getting deteriorated, value is getting lost. The second is what are the prices the farmers are getting. Recently, it has been a great amount of deal in the news itself in terms of the prices the onions are being purchased at, and that is not enough to help sustain agriculture. So that is where we essentially come into the picture. We handle post-harvest automation, where we are trying to increase transparency, bring visibility into the supply chain, so that things like price realization, things like post-harvest losses can be stopped. Actually, farm-to-fork models can be implemented through technology. Right? The biggest problem now we face is we've been seeing this post quite a while now, that middlemen are reaping off benefits of the hard work that a farmer usually puts into the agriculture, and these are the ones who are getting benefited, not the actual farmers. But when we try to get deeper into the value chain, we should actually question, why are middlemen necessary? राइट, करते क्या है ये ट्रेडर? अगर हम बोलते हैं कि ट्रेडर्स ही सबसे ज्यादा वैल्यू रियलाइज कर रहे हैं, there should be something that these guys are doing that we are not able to see, right? If you look at the entire picture, the biggest thing comes to is trust. If I'm purchasing from someone, I should be able to trust that entity, and that's where the traders, there's a middlemen come into, which I won't call them traders, but there are traders also function. They have a lot of function in the value chain, but these middlemen who just pass on the produce is where the actual leakage of the value happens, right? How can we enable farmer to buyer or consumer supply chain? How can we make it farm to fork? Is where the actual problem of trust realize, right? Now, this is a very recent example that is happening because we are seeing the onion harvest season. We're seeing a lot of low rates. Now in Solapur, I think the rate was around 2.5 rupees a kilo. It was in the news. Last year, this also happened in Lasalgaon. We were actually invited by the Mandi authorities, and we were discussing with them this at length about what the actual problem is. The biggest challenge becomes we don't understand where the prices are derived from. It is actually the marketability of the produce. If the produce is getting sold at 15 rupees and the other produce is getting sold at 12 rupees, what is the difference between two? Because markets have particular need for quality and grade. And that is where their difference in prices lies. Now, if a particular produce is getting sold at half a rupee per kilo, it's actually at a loss, right? It's not something that should be happening. But can we solve that? And the biggest challenge here is, how do we make our produce marketable? कि कोई आके खरीद रहा है तो वो बोले कि हाँ मुझे ये दाम पे ये प्रोड्यूस लेना है. That is where we ensure quality and grade of the produce. कि whenever you segregate, whenever produce is harvested, first of all, it comes in multiple grades and qualities. Someone would have a very low shelf life, someone would have a decent shelf life, and someone would be very premium quality. But when we sell the produce together, what the buyer does is the buyer thinks that this is going to be a mixed quality. So let me not take a risk. So they have a risk premium over it. So instead of bidding at 10 rupees, they'll bid at 9 rupees or 8.5 rupees, because they understand when the produce is graded, इसमें बहुत सारा ऊपर नीचे होने वाला है. So when had this technology or infrastructure been available to a farmer, and had this been graded at source itself, this could have been a different picture altogether. The produce that is getting sold at 1 rupee, 2 rupee could have actually been sold at 5 rupees, 6 rupees. Right? I know that is also low, but that is a better picture than what is happening right now. The biggest challenge is understanding what the market needs. So when you grade the produce into multiple categories, you are able to understand the third grade or the low shelf life produce can actually be consumed domestically. It doesn't have to be taken to the market, where the cost of taking the produce to the market itself is 50 paise per kilo. Right? Now, average produce, or I would say second grade produce, can be sold off to other markets, and premium quality produce can be sold to retailers or modern retail players where they actually give a premium. That is how value can be optimized. Like the current process, now this entire trade is based on two critical foundations. One is quality and the other is price. Now, price is derived by quality. But if you see, quality is very subjective in nature. What is grade A for me may not be even grade B for someone else. Because it's very subjective. We don't have a measuring tape which can say, okay, this is grade A, grade B, grade C. There is no universal standard as such. It is completely done manually. And the purchaser is the one who has the control or has the upper hand in saying, having the last word saying that this is the quality that I agree. So this is the quality. So there is no negotiation about it. Whatever they understand or whatever they evaluate of the quality is taken as a final word. So this becomes a big of a challenge, because a nation where there are so many buyers, so many middlemen, so many traders, nobody can be on the same page. So the solution that we came up with is using technology to quantify this quality and grade information. The way we use it is we use computer vision and deep learning, where we capture images of the produce. We analyze for size, color, shape, defects, diseases, physical damages, all the major quality parameters. And then we also segregate the produce. So one is we give analytical information of what the producer's quality is, but also help the producers segregate the premium quality produce from the low shelf life produce, so that the premium quality produce can actually be sold to someone who's able to pay a premium price for it. So this is called value optimization. That is something that we are working on. The second is whenever you remove the low shelf life produce or not visually appealing produce, though it may be healthy, it may be good, it can be used for processing, where visual appeal of the produce is not needed. I'm not saying this only for onions, I'm speaking about all the fruits and vegetables. That is where we deploy our technology in. These are how our machines look. These have cameras and sensors in-house, inbuilt into the machine, which capture the images and sensor data of each and every fruit and vegetable that goes through it. Now, these machines start from 1 metric ton per hour and can go up to 25 metric tons per hour. That is the speed that we are looking at. These have been completely developed in-house by us. We've been working on this since 2018. And then we segregate the produce. All the mechanisms, all the software is built in-house. The technology, as I said, we work on is computer vision and deep learning. Basically, it analyzes the images and then looks for all the quality parameters. In case of, say, potato, does it have holes in it? Does it have sprouts? Does it have cuts? Does it have fungal damage on it? The same case in onions as well. We look for, is there fungus on it? Is the onion, what is the size of the onion? What is the color of it? Is the sprouting there? Is it rotten? Is it damaged? All these parameters. And then we have a user interface where any user can input what is the grade that they needed. If it's at 55 plus export quality, then it would get segregated accordingly. So it is all customizable in nature. So this is an overview of how our machines look. Now, this have evolved over time. Now, we are glad to call ourselves the most affordable solution, affordable optical grading and sorting machine globally, because our biggest aim is to make technology affordable and accessible to everyone in the supply chain. We come with a motive of building in India for the world. That is the technological approach that we have. And it can only happen when we ourselves solve the problems in terms of adoption of technology. The biggest challenges in adoption of technology is one is lack of awareness, and second is affordability. So we already have financing options. We already work on service-based options as well, so as to work on increasing the adoption of technology in the post-harvest segment. So we work on wide ranges of fruits and vegetables. This just covers a gist of it. Also, you can see what are the kind of defects or what kind of quality parameters are assessed. We have designed the solutions in a way that can withstand Indian conditions. Because when you look at warehouses and onions, It's not going to be air conditioned. It's not going to be the way that we look like we see in developed countries. It has a very different nature to it in terms of power availability, in terms of the environments these solutions are going to be deployed at. So these are the core of our design processes, where we understand for which type of user we are designing the solutions for. This is one of the solutions that we deployed recently. As you can see, the onions that can create a lot of issues while storing are the ones that are removed. These are the ones that can be used for a different purpose, but should not be stored together with healthy and good quality produce. Because when we look at storage options as well, in onions, we look at somewhere around 40-50% losses just in storages. But whenever a solution like this is involved, everything becomes automatic. When you know this produce is going to also increase my damage rate, you just remove that produce. I'll just quickly run you through a video. Quality, size, and multiple parameters based on which the produce is graded. So this is one of the machines that we deployed at Nashik. As you can see, there are two different grades. Now, when you look at the video, right, one thing you realize is we actually deployed this in an open air environment. Also, there are a lot of things, there are a lot of minute details we have gone through. The biggest challenge in adoption of technology in this space, particularly to speaking about onions, is there's no reference. All the other solutions, even at international level, that have tried this market, have tried with a copy-paste model that this works for potato, let's try it for onions. But we follow a very different design process. When we solve a problem, we go in towards a depth of the problem statement to understand what the current processes are. And then we design a solution that could solve that particular problem. But understanding of the problem is the biggest challenge here. So we've spent a lot of years understanding this, what are the limitations of the current existing solutions, and then completely develop a solution from scratch and not follow a copy paste model at all. We developed around 5 prototypes before we got something in the market. Even in there, we were working with a lot of farmer producer organizations. So when we say it takes a village to develop this entire big solution, that is where we also follow a philosophy where we work with our potential customers and users who help us refine our thought process, refine our solution. So we've been working with a lot of farmer producer organizations just to understand how the simplest of things can mean a lot of difference for them. So we started our pilots around 2020. Since then, we've been working with a lot of farmer producer organizations, a lot of exporters. We currently have been working now, we're just starting with Gujarat as well and Madhya Pradesh as well. Before that, we've deployed our solutions in Maharashtra and Uttar Pradesh. Last year we expanded to potato. This year we are expanding to other fruits, vegetables. The idea is how can AgroGrade solve the problem of mistrust and communication barriers between buyers and sellers and get them on the same page. So we become a phygital infrastructure. By phygital, I mean physical plus digital. So for example, when you buy on Amazon, right, you are aware that this is when I'm buying a phone of OnePlus, I know that I am going to get OnePlus only. I'm not going to get a cheap duplicate product of it. Right. The same thing is where we come in when digital marketplaces are adopted, there needs to be a verification of what is the quality of the produce that is being listed on these platforms. Only then buyers would come to these platforms to purchase the produce. That is the key solution that we are providing to the supply chain, where we assure what is the produce quality. So price discovery becomes easier. that this is the size, this is the quality parameter, this is the percentage of rotten or skin out in this produce. Now you know all the parameters. Now you can make a bid online. Eventually, digital marketplaces are going to be the future. But for that to become a future, this technology has to be the key. Currently, there are a lot of nodes in the supply chain. We aim to streamline these nodes so that farmers can then provide their produce directly to the buyers. But it can only happen when we take strategic and smart decisions based on technology, where we understand what is the need of a particular retailer and then match it with the buyers, group of buyers who are able to supply that particular quality, so that there is no mistrust, there is no issue of quality, and there is no payment issues. When we can deliver good quality, we can also assure good payment practices and a fair price for the harvest. We've been operational since 2019. We've raised from Social Alpha, Will Grow, Aligned Ventures, and CIE, which is the investment arm of IIM Ahmedabad. We are incubated at IGKV and SIBA. We recently won managed some of the startup awards. We were also one of the top 10 startups at Mahindra's MD Startup Leap, which happened just a couple of weeks back. We've been awarded top 10 social impact ventures by BSE. We've been working with a lot of known players in this industry and trying to play our part in taking the technology adoption ahead and solving for the loopholes in this value chain. One more thing before I move on to the next slide is this entire industry has faced a lot of loophole exploitations, right from price discovery to payments to quality. Whenever the prices clash, FPOs are not paid on time by citing quality related issues. Farmers don't get a good price by citing quality related issues. But when we can bring transparency into the supply chain by saying that this technology is now giving us a report saying that this is the quality, no one can have a different opinion because it's not subjective anymore. So it's neither at the buyer's end or neither at the supplier's end. Technology is the one that takes the decision. Coming to our partnership with Agmatrix is we will been working in technology and agriculture from a long-term perspective. We want to develop solutions for India with very thorough understanding of the problem statement. So the vision of the company is to develop agri robotics for Indian problem statements, agri robotic solutions, and to solve for unsolved problem statements like the trust deficit that we spoke about. How can we increase the adoption of digital trade? How can we reduce the exploitation of loopholes in the supply chain? How can we enable farm to fork infrastructure? And through this, we started with onions, we got into potatoes, now we got into fruits. We recently signed a JV with one of the biggest players in international fruit supply chain, which is IG International. Now we'll also be developing solutions for fruits on an international level. For that, we keep needing folks who are curious, enthusiastic, and have a vision of developing solutions for the entire industry from a very solution-driven approach. We are not looking for copy paste model. We look at 0 to 1 problem statements, and we want very driven, young, entrepreneurial, enterprising folks in our team. We hire across domains. We look at quality experts for developing our AI products. We look at business development executives who can go and increase the awareness of this technology amongst the users. We are looking at entrepreneur in residence, where someone is trying to start their own but wants to have a understanding of how a startup usually works. We also look for EIers, people to help us in operations, so that we can take our products to the farm gate, deploy it, show the results to the users, and handle the entire product usage part. People to help us with production and designing of our products. That's it from my side. I would be happy to take any questions. I hope I haven't bored you enough. You already had a long session, but happy to take questions. Thank you.
Right, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for giving us a brief, overview about agro trade and what you guys do. Moving ahead for the questions. So there's a question from Shagun in the chat box. The question is, How is agro grade different from other grading units?
Great question. Now, when you understand grading, right, one is the quality, the price of a particular produce is not just based on size. We work with all the major retail players in India. So we understand how they price the produce that they're buying at. It looks at the quality, the visual appeal, the size of the produce, the presence of any, say, foreign matter in the produce that is being sent, the physical condition of the produce. So when we work on grading, so we work on grading and sorting units. It's not just the grading unit. First is that. Second is we work on very product specific approach. Our grading machine for fruits would be very different from our grading machine for onions, because till now there has been no other player who has been able to even promise that the produce that will be graded through this machine, the solution, won't have any skin damage. That is where we've been actually able to deliver, because we understand each and every little physical characteristic of onion, every physical characteristic of potato. So this becomes a complete end-to-end solution. So it's not just grading. We are not here to just sell automation solutions. We are actually here to solve that particular problem, which is trust and quality discovery. How do you, even for example, we've been working with a lot of FPOs where we, at zero charge, at no commission at all, we help them with market linkage. The way we do that is we help them segregate the produce as per the quality that is needed by the market or needed by the buyer. And whenever the produce is grade sorted through our solutions, we know what is the percentage distribution of grade A, grade B, grade C. We already know that the rotten or the low shelf life produce has been removed from this. So we can provide quality assurance for the produce that goes through it. So there definitely is a huge gap in terms of what is traditionally happening and what has been able to deliver. I hope that answers your question. So it's not just a grading unit, it's a optical grading and sorting unit. So it works on image processing, deep learning, artificial intelligence to give you a very generalized view, artificial intelligence solution, and then segregates it. Such solutions have been available in terms of developed solutions, right? Developed economies, developed supply chains. These solutions used to start at around $1 million. There's around 6-7 crores. We are taking it down as much as possible, and we're still thriving. We're still trying to get it down even further.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Sir, this question is, how do you sort the mycotoxins and aflatoxins? Do you have the
No. So we work only in fruits and vegetables. Right now, all our deployed solutions work on physical characteristics, right? Size, color, shape, anything that can be visually detected. We even check for fruit fly infections, right? Whenever there's a small dot, even that is being detected. We can detect thrips. We can detect, say, black smut in case of onions. We can detect wrinkles, cuts in terms of potatoes, sprouts. In terms of internal quality, we have another product line that we are developing right now, where we can even check for bricks content. But we are not, right now, the state of technology is not that we can look at internal quality, particularly into other segments as well. As in, we are focusing ourselves only on fruits and vegetables. So we are not into aflatoxin. So we are not working on peanuts. So peanuts require a detection of aflatoxin. But in fruits and vegetables, wherever we are working, bricks and physical characteristics is where we are working on.
Okay, sir. What was the cost involved in this process, sir?
So luckily, we've been able to get financial support from a lot of players, a lot of incubators. So we've raised our financial rounds, investment rounds from Social Alpha, Will Grow, CI, with Startup Voices, IIM Ahmedabad, Aligned Ventures. We also received a government grant from RKVI through IGKV. So we raised around 1.85 crores till date, which is cumulative. That is how we've been able to starting from concept level to prototypes to second prototype, and then to taking it to pilot stages and then production. So that is the cost that has gone to getting us till here, because it's a hardware, right? You make machines, you scrap them, you build another machine, you scrap them. That is how it has been going on.
And at what cost you are delivering this machine to farmers, sir?
Our solutions actually depend on multiple conditions, multiple specifications. Right now, our lowest solution is till last year, I would say December 2020, the lowest solution that we had was started at somewhere around 6.5, 7 lakhs. Now we have also come up with a smaller version which starts at 99,900. So even below 1 lakh rupees is where we are now targeting. So it covers an entire spectrum. What is the, depending upon the requirements of the user. But in all the domains we are working, we are the most affordable solution because we develop everything in-house, we manufacture everything in-house. More than 70% of our team is from agri background. I think it would, right now it would be even more than 80%. Till December, it was more than 70% of they come from agri background, they understand the nuances. We ourselves spend a lot of time on field just to understand specific details, take constant feedback from users, constant feedback from producers, traders, exporters, anyone who's involved in the supply chain. We even work with a lot of startups, Godam Innovations being one of them. We very closely work with them so as to contribute something from our side. Right? That has been the aim for working, particularly in agri-tech. कि अगर ये हम नहीं करेंगे तो ये कोई नहीं करेगा. ये सारे प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट्स ऐसे है that those are not glamorous problem statements. These are something that was we feel we owe something back to the country. We owe something back to it's our responsibility to empower this segment. We ourselves are engineers, so we know that we have it. We have the particular capability or the skill set that we can actually solve a lot of problems. So that is the vision that we work with.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Hari, for your question. And thank you so much to you, sir, for answering all the questions.
I think we have a few questions in the chat box as well. I'll just quickly go
for
through
that,
it.
actually, we are a bit short on time.
Okay.
What we'll do is we'll
No
get all the questions on our mail and we'll directly answer all of them.
Sure. All right, that works.
Right. With that said, sir, thank you so much for this wonderful insight shared on automation of warehouses, which not only takes care of the grade of the product, but also ensures a better price for the farmers, right?